Well, there, that says 5 Castle Street. It's it's where the office of the JOIC is now. Look, Information Commissioner. It's a very security-conscious building. You can get in there at that door, but beyond you have to press the button and get somebody to let you in. A small step there, which would create problems for a few people with their wheelchairs. Most wheelchairs will get over. There's a step with a threshold. That's the always one that catches you out, the threshold. But obviously I haven't done an access audit on the building, but it is of course a public building because it's a Office of Information Commissioner. It's a public activity, so I don't know that here it is. This is the street view. Look. This is Castle Street. Well, I've emerged now from the talk with the Information Commission, which is a public talk. It was about an hour's meeting. There were 5 members of the public there out of 106,000 population. It was quite an interesting talk. The 5 members of the public were 3 women and 2 men. The talk was given by 2 women. Access is not perfect in that, but I haven't been allowed to do an access, or I didn't ask to do an access audit. I'd be interested in doing one. Obviously it's a shared building with other users, so I suppose that they will say that's why it has security, high security. And you can't get into the building that easily, but I'm not sure that for people with disabilities it will be that easy to get in there. You have to ring bells, and the signs aren't all that clear for ringing the bells to let you into the various areas. The Commissioner is on the 2nd floor. There's a lift access. The lift is quite adequate, I think, as far as I could see. I don't know what sort of facilities they've got inside there, whether they've got hearing loops. I've no idea. The actual meeting took place off a room, down about 3 steps. There were no handrails on the steps. I raised the point about whether it would be accessible to people with wheelchair users. They said, well, they could sit at the higher level, and if they did sit at the higher level, they wouldn't have seen the visuals. They were on the walls, so they wouldn't have seen those very well. And of course, they wouldn't have felt to be really part of the meeting. They'd be marginalised, which is what happens to people with disabilities. They get marginalised. I mean, the talk was quite interesting. It dealt with quite a few issues. The main points about who can keep your information and what access you have to it. I was very surprised. I asked a number of questions, but I did ask one question about disclosure of information, the matter that has been the beneficial ownership question. And they said, well, it had been decided by the Commissioner. He had made a report. It was published in the JEP and elsewhere, but they didn't know what it said, so they couldn't tell me or elucidate any thoughts on that at all, which rather surprised me. I would have thought a matter of that importance would have been well known. But there we are. They said they didn't know what the outcome was, whether the Commissioner was in favour of more or less information being made available. So, I mean, okay. And of course I wasn't allowed to video record, even though they emphasised throughout that transparency was the keystone as far as information is concerned. I was not allowed to video record the presentation. So, I don't know, I draw certain conclusions. Lots of these offices, lots of these places, public offices, they don't really welcome the public, I don't find. They seem to find them as a bit of and all that sort of stuff. Lots of questions, a lot of information which ought to be out there in the public domain, ought to be better understood. But then who cares on a hot day like today? They'd rather sit on the beach and eat an ice cream, wouldn't we? We know about such things.